ultimately feel isolated even if they have multiple sexual partners, because they don't have an intimate connection. There is a sense of isolation, because intimacy is not about just having sexual connection, it's about having real meaningful connection with people. uh, like I was telling earlier, that we carry a lot of baggage from our early relationships, and psychologists have studied this like for a long time, what we call attachment issues. And you could have an anxious attachment, or you could have an avoidant attachment, typically, as it, or you could have an anxious avoidant attachment, or you could have a secure attachment, different attachment styles. Now typically an anxious attachment is when you don't feel comfortable without a relationship. That's the opposite of fear of intimacy, where you're very needy, and when you don't have a relationship you just don't feel good enough, so you're perpetually seeking validation in the form of a relationship, validation in the form of attention, and anytime there's a threat, a conflict, a potential rejection, it brings up a lot of overwhelm and fear in you, right? The opposite of this is avoidant attachment, which is fear of intimacy, where relationships have not been perceived as comfortable and safe. Either the relationships are consuming, or the relationship space feels like, while a person wants it, it just feels too much to handle. It feels like they will get consumed, their freedom would go away, they would get trapped. And so there's a lot of, like, we see this in commitment phobia, right? So this is fear that if I say yes, I will get stuck and then never be able to come out. And because of this, even though the need for intimacy is there, people choose to stay away and ultimately feel isolated even if they have multiple sexual partners, because they don't have an intimate connection. There is a sense of isolation, because intimacy is not about just having sexual connection, it's about having real meaningful connection with people. And because of commitment phobia and because of fear of intimacy, people sometimes choose multiple sexual partners, keep moving between relationships, don't let anything get serious. These patterns are there in a lot of people. And if things get serious, even within a relationship, they withdraw. So this is all coming from not perceiving relational spaces as safe. And this definitely has to do with early childhood relationships, because attachment issues do get established very early. And also then later on, there's a build-up of how they have perceived relationships. So a classic model that you will see is this pursuer-distancer model in relationships, where one is always pursuing, wants more intimacy, and the partner is distancing and is acting like there is no intimacy issue. And so you'll find one partner saying, we don't spend enough time together, we should do more together, why don't we go to a therapist, why don't we address our issues? And the other partner is, I don't see a problem, I don't know what you're making this ruckus about. What is the issue? We are living fine, we are doing okay. And so this is a classic pattern of anxious and avoidant partnerships, where one partner is saying that I want more connection, more intimacy, I'm not feeling it's enough. Is it truly not enough, or is it one's own need is not examined? And the other partner is rejecting and not addressing that need because they want to keep it like it's all fine. They continue to do their own things and do not address this need. And this pattern just continues and continues, when it becomes a pattern of lot of resentment, lot of nagging, lot of sarcastic talking to each other, a lot of underhanded statements, poking at each other. This is a very common pattern that we see in relationships, but this is coming out of the same kind of attachment difficulty, anxious avoidant attachment.